What's up, everybody? Johnny from the Plot Hole. How are we doing? I see all of you awesome folks in the side chat. Wanted to say hey. Hope everybody's doing well. How many people saw the short that I put out today? And of those who saw the short, how many of you are surprised about what just happened in that short? I got to say, I was shocked. I haven't finished the Death Star yet. I haven't. Mallory's Asylum. What? What are you doing here? It's good to see you, says Johnny. Good to see you, Mallory. I did have one. Where'd it go? Jackalope Herdmaster, who has been a Plot Hole member for 11 months. About to call it a night. But I'm definitely going to watch this stream later. Hello, Johnny on chat. Well, hello. It's always good to see you. Thank you for stopping by, and I appreciate your continued membership. JL and PhD Tony are in the chat. You guys might want to come up later. If you do, let me know. I'll send you links because we're going to talk about some fun stuff. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I'm glad you're here. I knew you were. You said you were going to be here. I was hoping maybe you'd forgotten because seeing as how you know what? All of you are awesome people. I don't care what anybody says. Fuck all the haters. These things get demonetized anyway, so I'm going to say what I want. Mallory says, "Damn, you looking good. Lost weight, nice beard too, my duder." Yeah, I've lost 50 pounds, give or take, over the past 2 years. So on a slow but sure downward trend. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, appreciate that. Anyway, so Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. On the last video that I put down, she said, I'm going to do the $10 to make you eat the spicy food. So I've got, it's your choice. I've got them all. I don't have them all, but I've got good ones. I've got the Last Dab. That has Last Dab Triple X because there are 3 peppers in there. Alana Hater, you're not a hater. Reaper Squeezins. As the name says, it's Carolina Reaper in there. Ashes to Ashes by Karma Sauce. I forget what's in here. What is in this one again? I think this makes it so small. So small. It doesn't say. Born Burning Springs of Bristol, New York, and nurtured. No, this doesn't say. It doesn't say. But so yeah, there's that one there. It's pretty spicy, I think. I don't remember. Lucy, I'm Mexican too, so that's good. Let's do it. Let's get it. Also from Karma Sauce Carnival. This one had like all the different peppers in there. So this is rather spicy as well. Ghost Island, which is what you guys picked last time. And again, I'm glad you did. Another Karma Sauce. It is delicious. So if you pick this one, I'm not going to be mad at you. If you pick any of them, I'm going to be mad at you, but whatever. And then I've got Hot Ones Los Calientes Verde. So it's, this is like my regular old breakfast sauce. And I have the Karma Sauce Buffalo, which I don't particularly care for. It's not very good. It's not spicy at all, but it is what it is. So Lucy, send me you can either send me a DM or just, at me here. I'll try and pick it. I'll try and find it. If not, let me know here soon. Any with ghost pepper? Yeah. So the Ghost Island has ghost pepper in it. But again, this was delicious. And if you pick it, I'm going to eat it because it's delicious. But for everybody else here, you might be able to convince me to do some more of the sauces, as the goal says. So yeah, whatever you want to pick, you let me know and I will do it. No tolerance for anything hotter than medium spicy. Yeah, it's regional, I've noticed. Growing up in my father's side of the family that's Mexican. So we would go to, LA quite often, almost every summer. And we would have, hey, Case Cooper, we would have, who cares, right? Grandma would always cook. She was always cooking. She's one of the best cooks I've ever had the joy of eating. Her food is just always good. And every time she was cooking something, albondigas or flautas, tacos, any kinds, it was great food. I miss her to death. She passed away years ago, but yeah, like I said, we always knew, and my father told us the story growing up, that if my grandparents were fighting, be careful the food that you would eat, because my grandmother would, whenever she was upset with my grandfather, she would spice his food. And I don't mean like, I'm going to put a little bit of peppers in there. She would spice that shit. The angrier she was, the hotter she made the food. And my grandfather was stubborn as shit. He would sit there and eat every fucking bite and just beads of sweat pouring down his face. Didn't give a shit. So, yes, that's the side of that's the Latin side of my family. They were definitely the spicy eaters. So yeah, let's see here. Lucy, you let me know. Becca, I hear that you're in the side chat. Apparently, there are some rumors going around about Becca and myself. And here's the thing: I get a lot of people pulling me aside saying, "Hey, this person is saying this about." At the end of the day, I don't care if this person's life is so boring that they need to ride my coattails. Go right ahead; it doesn't bother me. So, at the end of the day, I've got better things to do. He's more than welcome to say whatever he wants. It doesn't bother me. Just so you know. All right, so let me know, Lucy. I've got my chicken tenders with spicy powder on them already. But thank the deities, Johnny has his hat. Yeah, Casey Cooper. I'm sorry I didn't wear it last time. Some people don't like the new format, and that's fine, right? You don't like what I have to say about the topics I have to say it about. That's totally fine. No harm, no foul. You don't have to announce that you're leaving. You can just leave. You can tell me you hate me. That's fine. I don't give a shit. But I'm going to say what I'm going to say regardless. All right. I had a couple come through. Let's see here. Wrote no last name celebrates 4 months of membership. Says, become a member. It's easy for as little as your firstborn child. No, it's 2 firstborn children. Brendan Riley says, Scott's Blue. Are you trying to tell me to take this Scotch bonnet one? Is that what you're telling me? I think it's, was it Carnival? Was it Carnival? I think this is one. Let's see here. Yellow chili. Yep, this one has Scotch bonnet. So this one's for you, Brendan Riley. Thank you for that $5 super chat, by the way. Stroke Salter, who is celebrating 37 months of membership, says, hey there, Johnny. It is great to see you. It is great to see you as well. Thank you for coming out. All right. Boom. All right. So here's this one. Now, again, do you have one that's a delayed heat or just pick the hottest? Hell, I'm going to try it. So for me, I think the last I remember, the hottest was, no, the Triple X was hot, but it wasn't as hot as the Reaper Squeezins. So for me, Reaper Squeezins is definitely more spicy. So we'll do Reaper Squeezins for you, and then we'll do Scotch Bonnet for Brendan Riley here in just a second. Yes, I do have a new format, Stroke Assaulter. I got really bored with Sovereign Citizens and all that other nonsense, so I kind of switched up. We're doing more political stuff, which irritates some people, and that's fine. I understood that when I went to covering politics, that it was going to rub probably the majority of my repeated audience the wrong way. I did seem to. The sovereign citizen thing definitely seems to kind of hit the right-leaning audience a little more than the left-leaning audience. Totally fine. And again, when I made the choice to abandon that and go to doing politics, I knew that was going to happen. All right, here we go. On a random note, just found out that the Trailer Park Boys are going to be at Dartmouth. That's cool. Thank you, Mallory. And Teresa, we're going to get you on. We'll pick some topics. That way we kind of keep it on, you know what I mean? Instead of just like going over, we'll pick like 3 or 4 topics. Casey Cooper has been a Plothole member for 28 months. Says, well met. Thank you so much, Casey Cooper. I do appreciate the continued support. Okay, no more gilding the lily. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Can you guys see? Here we go. I'm trying not to do this and like get it on my equipment or myself. Let's see here. You guys let me know. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go crazy with it, but I will. Is this enough? Do you want more? Is that enough or more sauce? We'll do a little more. You know what? Let's give you your money's worth. Politicians are just as stupid and lie just as much as soft sits. So what's the problem? Well, some people don't like my political leanings. I am a liberal for certain, and I don't make any qualms about that. I'm definitely a liberal. I never talked about that so much before. I kind of just did what I did, and then my political leanings would always come out. I never hid from it, mind you, but it was never. Come on, come out of there. It wasn't like, hey, by the way, I'm blah blah blah. More, she says. All right. Judy got this as enjoying some prickly pear soda right now. I have not had prickly pear soda. All right, there's a clog. I'm working. I promise. Sometimes you got to beat it out. The sauce, YouTube, the sauce. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Just suck out the bottle. I am not going to do that. Okay, how's that? Is that good? Is that good? I think that's good. Here we go. Yeah, I don't wear it on my sleeve. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna cough on this one. That's gonna happen. There it comes. Yeah, buddy. Woo! Take a bite and taste with a drink of hot sauce. I'm not gonna do that one. I learned that one the hard way. My goodness. That one's hot. I'm gonna lie. That one hit me. That hit you too. It's good though. Sorry for chewing in the microphone. Angel Gamer. Who celebrates 11 months of membership says people think that liberal always equals Democrat. It doesn't. More times than not, it does, but and here's another thing. Another common misconception is that liberals are leftists. It's not the same thing. I'm probably close. Well, here's the thing. I'm close to a leftist on some things, and some things I'm not. Woo! My goodness, I still have this here Carnival one for Brendan. Oh man. Hey, Prosecco Rose, good to see you. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yep. Oh, I think this one's going to bite me too, actually. Oh, Lordy. Come on, you. There it goes. All right. There we are. Brendan, this one's for you. Good morning, vintage video. You know what? This one actually tastes really good. I think I burned my taste buds from the first one. That's what happened. Oh, still bit by that first one. All right. Oh. All right. There it is for all of you people who like to see me suffer. No, YouTube, I'm not inflicting pain upon myself for whatever. It's a spicy challenge. That's what's happening. What's an Aussie meat pie? I'm curious. I'm afraid because Everything in Australia tries to kill you. Literally everything. So you guys got me. I should have brought tissue over here. I might have to grab one here in a minute. Whew. All right. So if you want to see more of that, you can. I'll do it just for you awesome folks. Golly. Mm-hmm. Kind of like an Aussie empanada. Okay. All right. I don't know if I can get those here in Texas. Here's the thing. PhD Tony, if you're still around, JL, if you're still around, let me know. Because there's something that happened today. Well, in the past couple of days. Well, no, the past 24 hours. That I think is fun. It's super fun. No, it's our hot dog only better. Really? Send me a link of where I can find these or what I'm even looking for, and I will do it. We'll do it. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. Yes, I've been made aware. No, I don't care. Let him. Like I said earlier, if some people want to, or they have absolutely nothing better to do than to ride on my coattails, that's fine. It really doesn't bother me at all. Like I said, this person is insignificant, and say what you want to say about me. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. At the end of the day, I just don't. But yeah, I mean, so Angel, that's not meant to I'm not scolding you by any means, but it is what it is. Some people are going to do what they're going to do. I'm not gonna worry about it. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I don't really care what he says. You can give me a link. Absolutely. It's a factory in LA. Okay, cool. Do it. I mean, please. The plothole1 at gmail.com. That's the number one. Not the loneliest number you can ever do. I'll tell you what. Aussie meat pie is made with Vegemite. Oh no. Oh no. I've had Vegemite. That stuff is not delicious at all. I don't know how you Aussie guys do that shit. I don't mean like spread that shit on fucking toast or something. I don't get it. It is not something that tickles my fancy. Okay. Noise. Okay. Got rid of that. Sorry, folks. Vert de Ferk says, hello. Hello. I don't know. I just don't do Vegemite. I don't like it. I'm sorry. You guys eat it though, man. More power to you. Like I said, you Aussie motherfuckers are some tough sons of bitches. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. And I mean that, respectfully, of course. All right. My tongue is still a little flaming. I know how that sounded. Do what you will with that. Oh, no. Brooke says, I was not notified. Wait, the Scottish loves you. I don't know what's going on. I do know. Beaver Zero, I talked to him about it, and he kind of gave me an explanation of what could be happening. And I think it's pretty logical that because I was gone for so long, the algorithm said, well, nobody's watching your shit. You're not putting anything out. So we're not going to recommend you to other folks. The people that did watch you, now they've moved on to looking at other things. So I just have to continue to put out content, and eventually the algorithm will pick me up again. So, it is what it is, right? It's going to be one of those things where it's going to take some time, and I'm totally fine with that because, again, I was gone for about a year, and I know what happens. You see what happens to channels that do this shit all the time. Team Skeptic went through the same thing. He took 6 months off. He and Simon Dan started at the same time, and then Team Skeptic took 6-7 months off, and Simon Dan really hit and just took off. And Skeptic, it took him a while to get back into it because he told the algorithm to stop looking at me. PhD Tony, you're at work. That's a likely story. Okay, it's 8:51 in the evening, sir. How could you be at work? Excuse me. It's not like you're at a different country on the other side of the world, 16 hours away from it by flight. What's up, NA? By the way, sorry. Pick a sauce, buddy. You did some donos last time, so I figured you earned the pain. Yeah, I know Tony's upside down. He's living like a gravity inversed world where he sticks to the bottom of the spinning ball. Kelly Fitzpatrick, I'm ditching work right now. Don't do that. All right, cool. Let me pull up this here. We're going to look at Brian Taylor Cohen's latest video came out earlier, and it seems that Trump is running into some issues with some of his executive orders. Toilet flushes backwards. The plot hole. Pick a sauce. Yeah, I've got Ghost Island, Carnival. I've got Ashes to Ashes. I've got The Last Dab Triple X. I've got Los Calientes, and I have Reaper Squeezins. So, whichever one you want, I'll eat it. I'll have to get tissue there in a minute because depending on which one you pick. All right, here we go. Let me share my screen. Boom, and we're going to go to. There's that. All right. Here we go. Oh, really quick, we've got Vintage Video and TV for 10. Ozzy says 10 from Vintage Video and TV. Thank you so much. Pick a sauce. We'll do it just because. All right, Gia, what's going down? You might have a slight crush on Brian Taylor. Who doesn't? Look at that guy. He's like even bedheaded. Like you could tell he just rolled out of bed, couldn't get his hair to do what he wanted. And look at him. Even with this silly pause face, what do we have here? Sorry, I wanted to make sure. Okay, cool. Here we go.
I'm joined now by Norm Eisen. Norm, thank you so much for taking the time.
Brian, thanks for having me back.
So you are once again in the news, this time not because Trump has decided to call you out during some speech to the Department of Justice, although the news that you're about to bring may be cause for him to try and do it again. Can you explain what just happened in court?
Yes, Brian. We at State Democracy Defenders Fund, my nonpartisan nonprofit organization, brought a lawsuit arguing that under the Constitution, Elon Musk and Doge are not authorized to operate. That's because anyone who is acting as a principal officer who.
Gia, good night. I'm sorry you're having such a tough time. I hope your daughter is doing better now. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm squirreling all over the place. Let's go back just a second because I missed something.
Elon Musk and Doge are not authorized to operate. That's because anyone who is acting as a principal officer who has significant authority, making decisions on their own with massive impacts, is supposed to be confirmed by the United States Senate, like cabinet members.
I wonder if there's something that says that's supposed to happen.
Well, Elon Musk is a kind of a super cabinet member. Obviously, he's never been confirmed. No accountability, forbidden by the Constitution. He's also running the Doge, which with him is tearing down agencies like the U.S. Agency for International Development that Congress says must be allowed to operate. So that's a violation of the constitutional idea of separation of powers, that the executive branch can't ignore the dictates of the legislative branch. Article 2 can't defy Article 1. And today, a judge found for the first time in all of these 100+ cases that have been brought that Elon Musk and Doge are violating the Constitution, violating the Appointments Clause, violating the separation of powers. It is a landmark win.
Uh-oh. Even this face. Look, there we go. This face. Look at this face. My goodness. Elon and Trump, or Elon and Doge, violates the Constitution. It's unconstitutional because he was not confirmed. Yes, Kelly Fitzpatrick, we do need a slow clap for this one. NA for $6.66, if it's going to show. There we go. I got the last dab sauce. Let's do it. I got some tortilla chips. But you know what? I put some ghost pepper on one, but you want last dab? We're going to do last dab. Here we go. So yeah, Doge, hey Skids Crasher, Doge is unconstitutional. Who has been saying that for how long now? How long have we been saying that it's unconstitutional? Whoa. Okay. Well, that last dab came out really quick. So there it is. You can't see it. There it is right there. It's a lot. That's a spicy meatball. Still pretty good though. All right, Circus Salter. It's a good sauce. It's very spicy. Good to see you too, Stroke. My goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. Oh, yeah, buddy. Who doesn't like hot sauce? My daughter's gonna be very upset with me. She told me I couldn't do this anymore. I said I do what I want. Thank you so much for that super chat. Annie, I appreciate it. As a federal employee, I hate Elon and Doge. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it would be one thing if we didn't already have oversight committees that look at budget, right? It would be even another thing if Elon was, golly, if Elon was appointed, went through confirmation hearings like every other cabinet member, like these people that are in these positions of authority are supposed to do. But he doesn't. He didn't. And we do have oversight. Now, we can argue until we're blue in the face that, oversight, well, was the government looking at the government, blah, 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 whatever. We can argue that, right? That's okay. We can sit down and have a discussion about are the oversight committees doing what they're supposed to do, right? And hey, Mrs. Tom, and that's a legitimate argument, right? Are they really effective? I think they are. I think budget oversight committees are effective. And the problem that a lot of people have when I say something like that is, well, you're just this, and look at all the corruption that Elon has found. I haven't seen any, quote, corruption. I've seen some misunderstanding of data points. I've seen some misinformation spread about trans mice. I still can't believe we have to have that discussion. Yeah, right. And they fired inspector generals. And can anybody in the class tell me what inspector generals do? Anybody in the class? Excuse me. Yeah, and here's another thing. It would also be another thing if Elon had zero vested interest in what's going on with the budget. But he does, right? So he was able to usurp the Verizon contract for Starlink. He was able to usurp a lot of NASA funding for his rocket ships. More importantly, though, the people that he went after first just so happened to be the people that were investigating him or his companies. I mean, we don't see the conflict of interest there. Oversight of the federal agencies. Interesting. So we have, and here's another thing. As I know it, as I understand it, oversight, all those oversight committees, their findings are accessible to all of us. I wonder how well Starlink and Tesla specifically, how are they doing? Not so well. And again, I will say this to everybody who is throwing shit at, burning down Tesla stations, and don't do that shit, man. Come on. I understand the want and desire to make sure that you voice yourself, you get the attention you need to get. And I do also understand that there's a time where voice is not enough. We need some action. But there are a lot of people that purchased Tesla before all this happened with Elon and Doge. There are a lot of people that work at these dealerships who may or may not agree with Elon and Doge, and there are a lot of those Tesla dealerships are independently owned. So one dealership and one person. So yeah, I mean, you've got some instances of like there was one dealership that was shot up, and there was another like some cars that were, or not cars, some charging stations that were burned down. Little things here and there. Yeah, why is Pam Bondi going after vandalism? I think she's got supposed to have bigger fish to fry. Prosecco Rose says no one needs to set Teslas on fire. They're doing that themselves already. Judy Ugata says, when I worked in the Social Security Administration, our IG went after folks collecting benefits illegally. That's another one that really kills me is, the whole claim. Some 300 years old at 300 are living longer. That's a terrible Trump impersonation, by the way. But this whole claim that 150 years old or older are collecting rampant checks, they're just not. That's just not happening. That's just not happening. He fired a lot of good people in the VA and is hurting veteran healthcare. Yes. My video that's coming out, Vertifirk, absolutely. So the video I have coming out, it's actually an editor right now. I stopped editing so I can come hang out and eat hot sauce for you guys. That's going to cover a lot of this stuff. The Mahmoud Khalil. Last week I said Muhammad Khalil. My fault. Apologize for that. But yeah, I mean, it's not even that, right? So it gets even worse than that, right? The Lebanese working for Brown U, transplant doctor. They stopped when trans, like, let me get rid of it. But we're getting, she's I thought she was a citizen. Not to mention the little girl who here in Texas, why is it always fucking Texas? The little girl here in Texas who is a brain cancer, she has brain cancer, and she was on her way to treatment. Her parents had to drive her from, I think it was El Paso to Houston, to get these treatments, an emergency treatment. And they got stopped and deported. Now, mind you, she was born here in the United States, which means she's a naturalized citizen. This is another one that kills me. DEI is this whole anti-DEI thing, they are quite literally whitewashing history right now. They removed Jackie Robinson's page, highlighting his service in the Army. For why? Can anybody tell me this? Can anybody tell me why? Because he's black? That's DEI? Fuck out of here. Enola Gay, right. The plane. What was the Enola Gay? That was that. But just I don't know, it wasn't really significant in history, but because it has gay in it, we're going to get rid of it. It's so fucking stupid. This is how inefficient these DEI nonsense like Doge and all these other fucking things that Trump is doing. It's just completely inefficient that we're, oh, I'm so worried about, hey, Zach, right? I'm so worried about, DEI that we're going to remove a plane. We're going to a page out of a plane, and we're going to take down this historical document about a plane that did what? Fucking hell, it's so stupid. Simply because it's called the Enola Gay. Like, yeah, the Tuskegee Airmen. That's notable history. John Leguizamo talks about this a lot, and I follow him on Instagram and Blue Sky and all those things. You can find me on those as well. But he talks about how pivotal, like he made a statement, and he's not the first person to make the statement, but he made a statement the other day that really resonated with me. That we talk about Black History Month and Latino history and whatnot as separate from American history. It's like, no, this is American history. It says Latino people have fought in every single war that this country has ever had. Every single war Latino people have fought. They're the most decorated the most decorated group, the Latino people who fought. My grandfather fought in World War II. He was top gunner, B-17 bomber, shot down 3 times, once behind enemy lines, broke his leg, and he had to walk himself out of I want to say it was Berlin, but I don't remember. I don't really remember. But it's insane. It's insane. Yes, Native American code talkers. That's another DEI thing. It's just like, why? Because it's not white. Yeah, Colin Powell. He's a Republican. What are you doing? Let's see what the rest of the guys say.
Okay, so I have 2 questions here. 1, what is the immediate remedy? And 2, do you expect that this will be appealed? And what does that process look like moving forward?
The judge entered a preliminary injunction where he has ordered that a series of things that happened that really destroyed USAID have to be unwound, or other remedies have to be granted. So we're going to see relief. Our clients in this case, 26 brave USAID employees all over the world who spoke out against the unconstitutionality, they and many others are going to get relief. No more illegality. And as to whether it'll be appealed, we're expecting there's going to be a prompt appeal, and we're ready to keep fighting. We think we're on strong legal grounds, and we think this landmark case will be picked up by other courts to deal with other aspects of Elon Musk and Doge's illegality. So it's a very big day for the Constitution and the international development.
There is the process.
This is perfect what he talks about there, where he says that this like opens the floodgates. Precedent-setting cases, and with this ruling, yes, we'll be able to challenge. I say we, lawyers will be able to challenge the legality of all of Doge's moves based on this landmark case. Now, of course, it's going to be appealed. I don't believe that Trump is actually going to, do what he says and follow the law when it comes to the ruling. He's already actually called for the impeachment of this particular judge. Right, not Pam Bondi. His press secretary Levitt has already said, she released a statement earlier today talking about how that this particular judge is a Democrat and only fueled by Democratic, going after him simply because he's Trump and blah 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 blah. And it's always Democrats going after Trump and blah 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 blah. It was the other way around. Like, that's the thing that kills me. The Republicans had no problem when it was Republicans going after Democrats. When it was the other way around, then all of a sudden it's illegal and it's only because of party affiliations. Like, get fucked, right? Here's the thing: if somebody's doing something stupid or illegal, you go after them, regardless of party affiliation. ACLU went to 109 lawsuits today. Good. Yeah, you don't like DEI? Get rid of all those handicap ramps. I'm sure our governor here in Texas would he would appreciate that, not being able to get to and from anywhere in Congress or the House or the Texas government. Excuse me. Really? It says you're nobody. We'll come back here. You're nobody if you haven't been threatened with impeachment yet. Damn, I'm a nobody. I've never been threatened with impeachment. Damn. This whole thing I think is great at the end of the day. Yeah, because what Elon and what Trump are doing with Doge is, as this gentleman says, unconstitutional, as the court has upheld that opinion that it is unconstitutional. And again, it's going to be challenged. Wouldn't expect an appeal not to come in this, but at the end of the day, I don't know here. Okay, so this is one thing that does kind of worry me, because we saw what happened with Roe v. Wade, right? It was fast tracked to the Supreme Court simply because Trump, during his first term, was able to stack the court to get the judges or conservative judges who would vote to overturn Roe v. Wade. So therein lies a bit of the issue. Now that this is going to go to the higher courts, we do have that, right? Are the Supreme Court justices going to do what they're supposed to and check the executive branch of the government? Because this is overreach. And Trump seems to have an issue with understanding what the judicial branch of the government is supposed to do. Like, well, he can't tell a sitting president. They can't tell a sitting president what to do. Yes, they can. That's their fucking job. Their job is to tell you through challenge, through court cases, that this is legal or this is illegal, unconstitutional or constitutional. That's literally their job. We have a 3-tiered government. We have 3 branches. It's the checks and balances. Congress, you have your legislative, executive, and your judicial. They're there for a reason. John Roberts nailed Trump yesterday. I heard about this. Yes. Oh, I saw that. I meant to pull that clip up, and if anybody has that really quick, send it to me, because I do want to look at that. I could probably look it up here in a minute. But during that, John Roberts created this monster. A lot of people created this monster. There are a lot of folks out there who voted for Trump who are now reaping those benefits, quote unquote, of such. Like that gentleman who he had a Peruvian wife. I think it was Peruvian wife who was here legally, who's now being deported because you sent it to me in Discord. Cool. What did I do there? No. Where is it? Which one was it? Well, let's find it. He doesn't understand 3. Really says, I still keep my hair sticker in my front window. Here's the thing. Harris may not have been the greatest candidate. She may not have been the candidate that, quote, everybody wanted, but she is, hands down, would have been a much better choice. I do want to bring this up as well. So we're gonna let Brian Taylor Cohen go away. And I want to bring up, let's do this really quick. This, gotta go back to my history. I'm told I'm supposed to say hello to some people who are watching this stream via alternative methods. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you enjoy yourself. Here we go. Now, I hesitate to show this particular clip because I know how it's going to be received. And I want to make sure that I tell you that I don't believe that fair and free elections happen. Okay. The election was certified. Donald Trump won he won the election. Generals are telling military personnel that their oaths is to the Constitution, not the president. Right. That's kind of, what we need to understand. When you take oath to office, your oath to office is not to the president of the United States, it's to the Constitution. First and foremost. I'm watching the stream on my refrigerator. Man, you bougie. Man, you are bougie. I'm just teasing you. All right. This was brought to my attention earlier, and this is an interesting one here.
From the Election Truth Alliance, I've seen a bunch of his stuff, and it tracks. What he says makes a lot of sense, but I think he can walk us through some of the statistics pertaining to the last election. There's certainly questions. I'm not saying that it wasn't legitimate. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, as you know, but I'll definitely take a meeting on the legitimacy of those final vote tallies, particularly when you talk about Donald Trump running the table.
But they must obey the orders of the president. They must obey constitutionally legal orders of the president. They are allowed to ignore orders that are illegal or unconstitutional
In the swing states. How about it from Election Truth Alliance, Nathan Taylor, everybody. Hi, Nathan.
Hello. Hey, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, of course.
I'll give a brief
Yeah.
background. Sorry. So for those of you who aren't familiar, my name is Nathan. I'm one of the co-founders. There was 3 that helped co-found the Election Truth Alliance, nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. And we care about investigating the election, making sure our elections are fair and free and secure. So it's not about, challenging, it's about verifying. So that's very important. This isn't, as you would say, right, this isn't election denial. This is election security. This is insurance. This is, making sure everything's above board, and you do audits. Everyone does audits. So why don't we audit our election?
By the way, First Amendment
bravo.
auditors.
I think
First Amendment auditors, pay attention, because this guy's about to show you what an audit really looks like. Just going to say.
that's exactly right. So tell me give us an overview of what you found or what you surmise based on statistics that you've looked at and the early returns on the numbers. That's why I say statistics. And then then walk us through specifics. Go ahead.
I believe we have a PowerPoint as well. So my background specifically for what I do, civilian side, I'm in cybersecurity, data analysis, and military side, I was a 25 Bravo computer tech specialist in the Army Reserves. Got my degree in network information and security systems, and then commissioned as a signal officer. So radio communications, all the good stuff, satellite. I work in the ETA, and we have some very accredited, very, I would say smarter than me people that all they do is statistics. All they do is simulations. So one of our co-founders, Jive, was one of the ones that kind of dug deeper into our concerns in Clark County, Nevada, and then that blew up to the
When you don't hit the button, for the mute. Oh man. Yeah, I was chewing. That's what happened. So anyone talking about 51% of America is dumb? No, that's not correct. And it's not even it kind of depends on how you look at it, but I would say no, 51% is not an accurate number. If we're talking about voting, when you look at the numbers, we had roughly 93 million people not vote. And of those who did vote, was 48.3 or 49.3% voted for Donald Trump. But overall numbers, it was like 32.5% that voted for Trump out of all of the voters. Yeah, I'm an amateur. Sorry, really. I have sound now. NA. You're not going to get me. That's 50. Yeah, we're never going to hear. Damn. No, but I gave it back to you just now, Jinju. So yeah, I think it's closer to 32.5% of the total voting population that voted for Donald Trump. What's up, Mr. E Man? Good to see you. Anyway, back to this gentleman here.
Election as a whole, and so he was actually the one that looked at Clark County and found potential statistical manipulation, and that's where we came up with the Russian tail analysis, which I'll show you. So, all right.
So we just had Nathan knows his stuff. Says I24. Thank you for the
I appreciate
super
that.
chat. Please listen. So
Yep,
we will listen. So
and
Nathan,
questions. I love questions. So just stop me at any time. for you, Mark, or anyone in the chat who's got really good questions, now's the time.
I'm not going to make the same mistake. Mr. E-Man has gifted 5 plot hole memberships. Thank you so much. Judy, you got this. Jessica, Zachariah Hooper, Twins Grandma, and Paul's Heart Attack Support. All gifted a membership. And for that gifted membership, Mr. E-Man, pick a sauce. Let me know. I've got, what do I have? Last Tab Triple X. I forgot already. That's how bad it was. Ghost Island, Ashes to Ashes, Carnival, Reaper Squeezins, Los Calientes, and Buffalo Sauce. Let me know, Mr. E-Man. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that.
Time to kind of ask these, because I don't have I put out videos and then I'm jumping back into the data. I'm jumping back into trying to get us a paper audit any of these swing states, any of these states. That's my big push. If you live in any of the swing states, I need you guys reaching out to your local and state election officials and say, hey, let's do an audit. Let's verify. So that should be a part of our process.
We just had Clark County up there on the screen. Put it back up, and this is part of your PowerPoint, Nathan. Walk us through, and let's.
Yeah, and I see someone asked, why aren't we doing audits? Why isn't that built in? Generally, it was up until this last election. This election and the one before it, there are certain requirements for a threshold and an automatic recount or an automatic audit. And so in all 7 swing states this time around, and this is why people say this election was over quick. In 2020, there were multiple recounts because of the margins. There were multiple contests. And so there were additional efforts to do audits and compare the paper trail. This time around, every swing state, all 7 swing states outside of the margin of an automatic recount. So it was over pretty quick. Pennsylvania and I think North Carolina were the ones that had to kind of catch up. And you'll notice that when you go back.
This is a solid point, Zach. So we talk about the Dems, you take off the gloves against the shameless Republicans. 100%. You had Michelle Obama back in 2016 talking about when they go low, we go high. And at the time, I was like, man, that sounds nice, but fuck that shit. You've got a bully who's coming at you throwing just haymakers. You duck, dive, dip, duck, and dodge, and then you lay a haymaker of your own. You've got to fight back. You have to fight fire with fire. So we're too busy. And here's the thing: a lot of people are pissed off at Chuck Schumer, rightfully so, and 10 other Democrats right now, rightfully so, because they just kind of rolled over and gave Trump and Republicans what they wanted with the budget resolution. And their excuse was, well, we're doing it because we want to show that we're willing to work. It's like, you motherfuckers are playing a game against an opponent that doesn't play by the rules, that makes the rules up as they go, that shifts the goalpost, that will knock over the chessboard when they're losing. So fuck that shit. Show some gumption. Or, and here's where we can kind of take hold. We get out there and vote them out and put people in who are going to fight for our rights, who are going to fight for our best interests, who are going to stand up to Elon Musk and say, you can't just fire people that are helping out with VA affairs because you think they're not needed. You think they're wasteful, yet cut check for $400 million for yourself. And then I forget how many billions of dollars over the past year. Said Patches O'Houlihan. Yep. And we do need younger blood. So there's one thing that I will agree with a lot of the folks on the right. We do need term limits when it comes to, well, I say that, but now you have Steve Bannon getting on with Chris Cuomo talking about Trump's going to be the nominee in 2028, and we're going to work our way around it. We're going to challenge the 2-term definition legally. So this is what we're looking at here. Like, they're telling you everything that the Democrats have told you was going to happen, everything that we was like, hey, look, Project 2025 is a thing. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You take a look at what Project 2025 is, the list of things they were trying to accomplish, and in 100, I think it was 90 days or 180 days. It was 180 days. You go look, 180 days is what they want to do. Boom, 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 boom. And they've done 100. I forget what the count is. But they're accomplishing, they're systematically going through and following their playbook that they outlined for everybody and published for everybody. Trump himself has appointed several of the authors of Project 2025 to positions in the government. This is happening right in front of your faces. And we were telling you this shit. And you guys were like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. We were telling you Trump's trying to become a dictator. He said himself that he wanted to become a dictator. Those words came out of his mouth. Not exactly, I want to become a dictator, but he's like, you never got to vote again if you vote me in. Just, I mean, for fuck's sake. They are telling you what they're trying to do, and you're ignoring them. And you got to stop doing that. You've got to. Yeah, 49% of 2025 has been enacted. 49%. We told you this shit was going to happen. And Steve Bannon gets on with Chris Cuomo a couple of days ago and talks about how Trump is going to be the nominee in 2028. Because when you got a guy like Trump, when it comes around once every 100 years, you got to get him in there and leave him. And blah. We're going to challenge the 2-term limit shit. No, it's so fucked up, right? There's a reason why we said, no, we need to have term limits on the president. It was an informal thing up until when? Yes, after FDR, right? After FDR came in, that we actually ratified this in the Constitution, 2 terms, right? 10 years tops for a president. I think we should do that, 2 terms for the House and 3 terms for the Senate. Tor Rasmussen, who celebrates 50 months of membership, says, good morning, Johnny O in chat. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. So they did introduce, so it doesn't specifically say that married women can't vote. But here's the thing, it's a tricky thing, right? Because what they say is that your driver's license has to match your birth certificate, and married women who take their husband's last name don't have that. So they can ipso facto be denied the ability to vote based on that interpretation of this bill. Yeah, and 20 years for judges. Even then, I think maybe that might be a little too long. Maybe 15, maybe 10. 10 to 15, I think, is the sweet spot. 20, I would be okay with 20, just so long as it's not lifetime. So we don't have to sit there and have Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying, trying to hold out to make sure that, we don't have a stacked Supreme Court. Do they get name change documentation? I think so. But even still, as the bill was worded, the interpretation could be, if it doesn't match what's on the birth certificate, then we can deny them the right to vote. So we need to take a look. Again, we can't just blindly nope, we're going to listen to what Trump says because he knows what he's doing. That motherfucker's played more golf since he's been in office than Obama did his entire fucking 2 terms. Just since he's been in office this second time. He's trying to legislate. He's trying to do away with no birthright citizenship. Sorry, you can't just ink. That's the thing that kills me. There's more hypocrisy from the right when we're talking about, Obama was trying to legislate with the pen. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He's trying to legislate with the pen. And you can't do that. It takes a constitutional convention to change the Constitution, to change an amendment or to amend the Constitution. Birthright citizenship is an amendment in the Constitution. It takes a constitutional convention and 3/5 states ratification. Can't just sign an executive order.
And this is really important what Nathan is saying. There's a threshold which would trigger an audit. And it's interesting that in none of these swing states was that threshold reached. That's not like just a footnote. That is part of the story. Now, go ahead. How about Clark County?
Yep. So this is Nevada. They have 2 population centers that are a majority of their vote. That's Clark County, bottom right, the really dark area, and then Washoe County, top left. So these are 2 very important places because these are also your Democrat or your liberal strongholds in the state. And so the reason why we highlight this place is because Clark County put out their cast vote record. It's the digital representation of their votes and how people voted. Clark County specifically, and this might be a little busted on these slides, don't worry about it. So the reason why is their quality in Clark County is really good. They go down to the machine and the type of voting. So we can actually find the ID number on the machine associated with the vote, and early voting, election day, and mail-in. And so that's huge for being able to kind of look at the data and do an analysis. So let's pull back up here, mail-in voting.
Let's try to go through these in the order of that they were.
No worries.
Okay.
So mail-in voting, there's only 6 tabulators in Clark County, so you can't get a good distribution doing it this way. But what we wanted to kind of highlight is it's not showing any strange correlation when we do some statistical analysis. And Washoe County looks about the same. So for a baseline, you're seeing the Democrats are really leading in mail-in. And that's, people are expected to see that. There's a strong, argument that mail-in is pro-Democrat. They like to vote by mail. So if you go to the next slide, when we were looking at the data, one of the analysis we do specifically is this. This is a binomial distribution. This is a statistical term. Some of you know it as a bell curve. It's just the concept of if you have certain types of data and it's a coin toss in the sense that it's either you got a yes or a no. And in the case of what we're doing, we're arguing that when a voter goes and votes, no matter how they vote, what you should see is they either vote for a candidate or they don't.
That's fair, Shinju, right? So he says the only reason why I said 20, the only reason why I said 20 is so confirming senators, golly, why does that have to move on me? Confirming senators shouldn't be able to confirm more than one judge during their term, unforeseen circumstances aside. Right. Yeah. No, like I said, I wouldn't be upset at 20 years for judges. Right. Now, what this gentleman is about to show us, talking about the bell curves and that voting has traditionally and historically followed what he's talking about, this bell curve, right? And this is longer. This is 41 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to watch a little bit of it, and I'll link it in the description for this live stream, so you can go check out this guy. Check out his evidence. Go check him out. Look at it for yourself. See if it makes sense. See if it passes a smell test. Don't sit there and say I'm going to research and I'm going to look at fact check both sides and not do it. Do it. I'll do the same thing. You find information that contradicts what I have to say, let me know. I'd be happy to take a look at it.
And so if you pull out Harris or you pull out Trump's distribution, it should be binomial in nature because they either voted for Harris or they voted for something else or they didn't vote. And so what we were seeing in the distribution, we mapped it for multiple vote types and multiple places. So not just Clark County, but we're using Clark County as our baseline to kind of explain why it's concerning and what our analysis potentially shows, and then we'll extrapolate from there. So this is election day 2020. This is early voting. And so let me go back and go to election day real quick, and let's highlight.
There you go. Yeah.
The top is just the overlay of both. And what you'll notice is election day almost matches a normal distribution, a bell curve. There's only one little split here at around 50%. Maybe that's an anomaly, maybe that isn't. But if we're looking for this is what you would more expect to see is a normal distribution, binomial distribution. So now we go to early voting. And so this is early voting. Clark County, Nevada has polling locations around the county. They do it a few days, so you can just go in and you don't vote by precinct here. You vote by location, and then it gets correlated because there's an associated number. So you have like a voting ID number that you can potentially use. And so what we found here is when we mapped this distribution, we see it doesn't match a binomial expected distribution whatsoever. And this was concerning. We're like, what would cause this? And as we kind of go back and forth, I've talked to a lot of statisticians that have done election integrity. And the answer I always get is, oh, well, you can't say this is weird. Okay, but what can I say? Well, I can say that when we compare this to every other type of voting, both mail-in and election day, this is the anomaly. This looks weird compared to every other.
For those, Nathan, a lot of people just listen to the show and don't see it. And I'm wondering if we can just give a big podcast audience that just hears the audio. So I just want to describe this bell curve that you were talking about.
Yes. So the way these graphs work and the way you read them is at the bottom of the axis, it's the percent of vote. So we have two graphs here. One is for Harris and one is for Trump. And so what we're seeing is the bottom axis, it's 0 up to 100% of the vote. And so what we see is as you grow from 0 up to 20, up to 40, you get a slight curve of the graph growing as a kind of a mountain. And then when you get after around 45%, it actually drops off. And then when you hit 60, it grows and spikes up again. So instead of it being a nice, smooth mountain bell curve, we see this tail for both candidates, and it's just inverted, and they're mirroring. Mirroring is
all right. As you can see, it says here, when analyzing the 2024 early voting distribution for both candidates, we see vote distributions that do not match normal bell-like curve patterns. We see a skew indicating votes were removed from candidate Harris and given to candidate Trump, which would seem to it looks as if, because he's kind of boom boom. We're talking about this big spike here to this big spike here. At the beginning, maybe they were cast for Harris and then moved to Trump. That's the claim that he said, or that's the claim that they are suggesting. So it's not a claim, but that's what they're suggesting based on the evidence that they have here with this bell curve, early voting, the report on early voting. I don't know. It definitely seems something that would warrant an investigation. I doubt that it's going to happen. I doubt that we're going to get an actual look into it. And from what I understand, this gentleman also indicates that it wasn't just happening in Nevada, it was happening in all the swing states as well. This goes along with some of the other reports of people talking about their votes getting tossed out in those swing states. Now, here's the thing. If that's happening, we need to look at that, right? Where was the same energy, right? Whenever, Trump was talking about at the beginning of this election, well, if I lose, it's rigged. If I win, that's what the people wanted. Where's the same energy, right? You're okay with a result because you won, but what if this would have been the other way around? If this were this way, except flipped, Harris as opposed to Trump. In other words, they said Harris took Trump votes away. Like, you know what I mean? You guys would feel like 2020 all over again. So, very interesting things coming out. Oh, wait, there's another thing I wanted to take a look at. We were talking about the smackdown of Trump by, wait, let me grab it. It's over here. You guys are awesome, by the way, putting all the links in the links/evidence tab. That's amazing. Keep it up. It's great. It makes it easier for me to find. The statistics of elections are different from classical statistics. I would actually like to speak to this guy on what he suggests. Well, not more than what he's suggesting, but get an actual feel to ask these questions. Like, how is it different? What are different? What does it potentially indicate, and how can we verify? There's a lot of questions, right? A lot of questions that I would ask, being concerned about what's going on with this potential manipulation of the vote based on what he's saying, right? Not saying that there was a manipulation of the vote, but based on the evidence this gentleman gave, that's what he's suggesting. All right, let me do this one more time. We're going to add this to scene. And this comes from our buddy, our freaking beautiful bedheaded Brian Taylor Cohen again. This guy, look at him.
Surprise move against the sitting president, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, has issued a public rebuke of Donald Trump. The statement reads, "For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeaching is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose." The statement was published in response to Trump's unhinged post on Truth Social, reading, "This radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, who was not elected president. He didn't win the popular vote by a lot."
How much do you want to make a bet that this, where he says sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, is not correct? Anybody?
He didn't win all 7 swing states. He didn't win 2,750 to 525 counties. He didn't win anything. I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for this historic victory. I'm doing.
Also, I just want to note that Donald Trump didn't win the popular vote by, quote, a lot either. And that's, you know what? Fuck that. Let's fact check. Let's look at here. Let's see here. A-doop-a-doop-a-doo. All right. No, it's too much. I just need the numbers. Okay. In 2008, President Barack Obama won 69 million popular votes. 69 million, a little over, I was 69.5 million, right? John McCain, who, by the way, I believe that John McCain and Mitt Romney, of all people, were the last sane Republican presidential candidates that we've had. And that's saying something. You know, when I was sitting down the other day speaking with a couple of people talking about, I miss the old days of like normal Republican insanity in Bush Jr., right? Anyway, so Obama, 69.5 million votes to John McCain's just under 60 million votes, almost 10 million vote difference. Okay. Right. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. But we go to 2024. Okay. Donald Trump, 77,302,580 to Kamala Harris's 75,017,613. 10 million, 2.5 million. 10 million, was that Grover? Near. Far. That's not a lot.
Just what the voters wanted me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I'm forced to appear before, should be impeached. We don't want vicious, violent, and demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. Make
Do I really need to point out the irony here?
America great again. This was born out of a decision handed down by Judge Boasberg, which sought to block the Trump administration from continuing its effort to remove flights of alleged Venezuelan gang members from the United States. I would normally call...
Sorry, that's enough of that. That was great. Come on now. That's good stuff right there. But yeah, here we have, we have this idea that winning the popular vote by 10 million votes is not a lot. And it's funny. I shouldn't have to go appear before this judge. Yes, you should. Absolutely should. When you do illegal shit or unconstitutional shit, that's what the judicial branch does. That's literally their job. It's built into the Constitution of the United States of America. Perhaps if you read it, you would understand that. But I don't think you can read. I'm just going to put that there. Cognitive dissonance on the right. And it didn't sit there and talk about, well, cognitive dissonance on the left and blah, and all this shit. It's like, come on, look, there are cognitive dissonance on both sides of the aisle, but it seems as if it's more so on one side of the aisle than the other side of the aisle. Take that for, what you will. Oh, Jinju, come on. He's not a felon. He wasn't convicted. Oh, wait. Do I owe anybody any sauce? Because I'm going to get out of here in just a few minutes. My lights are probably going to die any second now. So if I owe anybody sauce, let me know. And if anybody wants sauce, you know what to do. It's okay. You don't have to. Please don't feel obligated. Cool. Sorry, I had to check something. What Constitution? I thought Trump tore that up. He kind of did. Convicted felons belong to the big house, not the White House. Poland is conscripting 200,000 or more soldiers. Yeah, there are a lot of defense contractors that are losing their contracts, and other defense contractors are getting them. I wonder why that's happening. But there's no corruption. There's no corruption or fraud because Musk said so. That's to me like, hey, conflict of interest. Well, I'll determine if it's a conflict of interest. No, that's not how that works. That's not how any of that works. You don't get there and say, well, I'll determine whether or not my involvement with a company and the government is a conflict of interest when I'm looking at them to find out if there's a conflict of interest. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. I just have no trust at all in the liberals or in Carney. And you know what? You don't have to, right? At the end of the day, you don't have to. But to sit there and say that I have no trust in liberals, but I have every bit of trust in, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but other folks out there who will, defend, uh, Trump and what Trump is doing, and yet criticize what they thought the left was doing. So, come on, guys, come on. The Canadian liberals are completely different from the U.S. liberal. Yeah, I would probably look at Canadian liberals being closer to leftists than United States liberals, because you take a United States liberal and put them in actual leftist countries, even Bernie Sanders would be considered a centrist in like the Netherlands. Excuse me. So there's a little bit of like definition of degree when we're talking about a liberal, leftist, and where those liberals come from. Like, again, you'll get people looking at me, you're just a leftist, Johnny. No, I'm not a leftist at all. I mean, I could be. There's some things I'm extremely left on. Some things I do, like social health programs. I think should have socialized medicine. I think that every other fucking first world country in the fucking world has figured out socialized healthcare. Yeah, we're sitting there saying we can't do it. That's dumb. That's fucking stupid. Absolutely, we can. We can figure out education. We can fund. Look, here's the thing. And I forget who did the study. I forget who did the crunch the numbers. I have to look it up, and I'll make a note to do that. But they took a look at what it would cost for college, like free college tuition, or government funded college tuition, government funded healthcare, government funded early childhood education, after school programs, and daycare assistance. And I believe it was like sub 10% of the defense budget would cover all those. Yeah, we can't seem to figure out how to do it. You want to talk about wasteful spending? I can't tell you how many different members of the military I've spoken to. Eugene, who's one of my partners in the film business, talked all the time about how they would come up at a certain point of the month and like, hey, we got to sit here and running these rounds off because we're over. We haven't used them. We need to use them. We can get rid of them so we can buy more to justify our budget. And he said these rounds were like $10,000 per round. They were just out there, fucking firing them off like it's, like they're playing with toys. So yeah, and I would go up and get all this. I have to go to supply, and my buddy would call me from supply. Not me, Eugene. My buddy would call me from supply and have me pick up, new uniforms, new that, all this shit, and then just give it to me because we had to cycle it out. We had to get rid of it. Here we are giving Ukraine, billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment, of outdated military equipment. That's how look, no additional taxes. We need no additional taxes to take care of any one of those social programs that I just talked about. Just a small reallocation. But God forbid you talk about taking money from defense, and the GOP will lose their fucking minds. Like, you're trying to make us not safe anymore. It's like, motherfucker, we outspend. We are the number one spending when it comes to defense, number one defense spending country in the world. We outspend the next 20 countries combined. Now, I do understand that there's a reason for that. I do understand, right? Because a lot of that money we do send, aid to foreign countries like Israel. And that's another one, by the way. I wanted to talk about the whole thing that happened with Israel and the Hamas and Palestine, but I know what would happen if I brought some of those videos up. We're showing, kids who are victims of the ceasefire that was broken by Israel. That's going to piss off some people who are pro-Israeli. I don't fucking care. Because they're sitting there saying, well, Hamas didn't uphold their side of the bargain, blah, 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 blah. You have Palestinians, Hamas was like, no, we did. You guys were the ones who didn't uphold. So there's a bit of one person saying one thing and another person saying another thing. We need to find out what the truth is. Regardless, the strikes that happened killed a whole mess of just people trying to live their lives, non-Hamas. kids, mothers, fathers. There's a guy who they were showing, clips of a guy who was looking through bodies trying to find his children, and he found his son. You know how fucking gut-wrenching that is? And this is me over here in the States. I'm not living that life. I'm watching this happen, thinking, Jesus fucking Christ, what are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? I'm not saying it's us. It's just, like I said, I wanted to talk about that, but if I were to show those, I would 100% get YouTube boxed, and that's just what it is. It's irritating. Okay, I think I've had enough. I've been on here for about an hour and a half now, and I'm sure that other people want to do other things with their lives. I appreciate all of you. You guys are awesome. I'll take a couple of quick questions. Anybody have anything to say? Let me know. I'll hear it, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Anything at all, whatever you want to know. I still have hot sauce. Don't forget. What does it say? Mr. E-Man says, Tony and Ukrainians are demilitarizing that equipment using the assistance of Russian soldiers. I missed something. More hot sauce. There's a way to do it. João Aguas, is that Brazilian? No, I'm not saying that correctly. BT Dubs. Is that Brazilian? Portuguese? Let me know. Your hot sauce wasn't very exciting. Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't know what to tell you. Portuguese. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. I thought so. The hot sauce is, it's... All right, here's the thing. If you guys want, and I'm already regretting this, but if you guys want, I will order the bomb Beyond Insanity, and we'll have it next live stream next week. Ooh, I can't do it next week. Because I'm actually going to have a guest on next week. I don't know if you guys are on TikTok, but if you are and you happen to come across a creator called Danny D, he's a guy who does the surprise and the leg bend thing. Fucking hell, every time I watch it, I pull a hip. He's going to be on next week. We're going to talk about his views on politics, his truth and his truth with TikTok dealing with being shadow banned, and we're just gonna have a general conversation. If you have any questions that you wish for me to ask, let me know pretty quick. I got to get into some discussion topics by the end of the week, but that'll be next Wednesday, and it's going to be an adjusted time. Pew Research. What about Pew Research? Let me know. It's going to be an adjusted time. So let me make sure and get that correct, because I do not want you guys to miss this. I'm going to have so much fun. Like I said, I find this dude hilarious. His method of speaking out against the system, it's fun. What am I looking for? Yep. Colander. It's going to be an adjusted time. And I think... Yeah, it'll be at 8:30. Well, no, same time it was today. Never mind. Oh, we have a new plot hole member. Thank you so much. Harnold just became where it goes. There we go. Just became a member. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. My comments were getting shadow filtered a couple of weeks ago. I hear that something's going on. I checked the comments on my end to make sure that, again, I do, unfortunately, because you've got certain people out there who like to try and circumvent and do nasty shit to you. I have to keep them moderated moderately, so some things don't, they just won't go through other things, whatever. But there are some things that even if I were to whitelist everybody, it would, like, YouTube, like, no, we're not doing it. Jabbar Rhetoric, when are Republicans going to stop chest feeding off Daddy Don? Check your IRAs and bills. Well, yep. All right, so because we had that last channel member, all right, what is it going to be? Is it going to be Ghost Island, Last Dab, or Reaper Squeezins? Really quick, you guys pick. Hot sauce is to be enjoyed, not endured. I really do enjoy these. Brooke, you could. It's actually funny. You said you couldn't post, but then I saw like your post get like multiple, like boom, 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 boom. Okay, we have one for Reaper. All right, Reaper. Well, you're the new member, so you know what? You get to pick. Here we are, Reaper Squeezins. We gotta, do the thing with the thing because there's a. Maybe spike that microphone. All right. This one gets plugged up, so. Yep. Okay. There you are. I hope that's enough for you guys. Here we go. Yep. Oh, that one got me. That one got me. Oh, got some on my lips. Woo! Ladies, you need a plumper? There you go. Oh, man. That one got me. Damn. All right. Finish the bite. My goodness. Thank y'all so much. I really do appreciate it. Golly. Wow. It's water, which is terrible. Oh, my damn. Yep. Look. I don't know if you can see that. Burn my lips. I burned them. Whoo. Can't even eat green bell peppers. Good night, everybody. I love you all. You're so good. I appreciate every one of you. Go have some fun tonight.